Good evening. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Wow, I really can't see anything with the stage lights. Thank you very much for coming tonight to the Cape Fear Economic Development Council Presents. Today we are happy to have a panel talking about the different groups that have been able to make things here locally and then sell them nationally. That is, be able to make an economic impact not just locally but beyond. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Cape Fear Economic Development Council. And my colleagues put together a very nice description, so you'll have to pardon me, I'm just going to read it. So, the Cape Fear Economic Development Council is a group wanting to fulfill the need for leadership in sustainable economic and job creation in the entire Cape Fear region. We represent a vision for the future economic development of the Cape Fear region that's actionable, sustainable, and that builds on existing strengths of the region. We acknowledge the industrial, economic, and cultural paths of the Cape Fear region and work to move it towards a prosperous future in the new economy. Nicely said, if I may say so. Tonight, we are proud to present a number of panelists for our Retail That Reaches program. We've got a number of folks up here. First is Alan Swart with Backsider Wallets. And then Dr. Arch with Dry Case. Okay. Kristen Beckmeyer, who is a board member of CFEDC and the owner of Coastal Cupcakes, and she's talking tonight about Topsy Tulip frosting, taking it out of town, or beyond just the Coastal Cupcakes. All right, so next is Miriam Oberlin of Miriam Jewelry. All right, Jimmy Pierce is next with Kids Making It, a story I hope everybody in the room knows more about, but I'm sure Mr. Pierce will be able to tell us more. Carmen Black is next, right? Yeah. With Half United. And then our moderator tonight is Gwenyfar from Old Folks on Front, and also columnist with Encore. And with that, I will turn it over to you. Thank you all very much for being here.
So I think I got asked to moderate because I write a column for Encore called The Local Live Small. And if you haven't been subjected to reading 1,200 words by me every week for the last 5 years, I'm going to give you a quick snippet of what it's about. In 2009, I finally decided to commit to the idea as a small business owner that I needed to spend at least 1 year of my life only supporting other small businesses. So nothing off the internet, no big box stores, no chain restaurants, and would this even be possible? And Shay Carver at Encore got one of those just over-the-top excited phone calls from me, which really didn't leave her with a whole lot of options to say, no, Gwenyfar, I don't really want to do that. And we started chronicling that journey, and after a year, discovered not only was it possible, but it was the most transformative year of my life. And I'm still doing this column. In some weeks it's really great, in some weeks it's like, oh my god, really, that went into print? So we're still exploring questions about how small business and local economics relate and can have a wider reach. In the midst of all of this, I own an independent bookstore in an economy where every day somebody tells me that's dying and I should do something worthwhile with my life, and yet we're still thriving. So, in the midst of all of this, I get this really wonderful phone call from Scott Ogden saying, we want to do a panel on local manufacturing. I was like, oh my god, you just made my heart sing. So I got an email saying, these are the people who are coming, and would you like to moderate? And with that, we're going to start with cupcakes because I have to make pops, people. How do you not start with cupcakes? And so Kristen Beckmeyer, then in 2008, she decided she was going to open a cupcake stand around the block for me because I'm not fat enough. And it's called Coastal Cupcakes, which has just taken off phenomenally. And in the midst of all of this, she's developed something called Topsy Tulip. Tell us what that is.
So, over the 5 years that I've had Coastal, everyone's comments how they love the cupcake, and it's fine and great, but they really love the frosting. And truly, it was one of those days where I just had the kind of light bulb situation where, wait a minute, well, why don't I just sell the frosting? And I don't have to bake in the morning. So I started doing some research and calling some friends, and lo and behold, there was no real frosting in the market. The only thing out there was the Duncan Hines, the Betty Crocker that was all shelf stable for over a year with an expiration date. I know, yummy, right? And it was all, their cream cheese frosting had no cream cheese or butter listed in their ingredients, and partially hydrogenated soybean oil was the second ingredient, and sugar. I thought, well, wow, well, mine only has 4 ingredients. It's powdered sugar, butter, cream cheese, and vanilla extract.
Okay, so how long is it shelf life?
So it has a good 45 days in the fridge. I've eaten it as old as 6 months because we didn't do our testing. Thankfully, I have some boys that work in my kitchen. They'll eat anything. So we would just open it up every few weeks and try some and taste it and see kind of when it didn't taste as great anymore. So we've got the 45-day shelf life, which is great. It's refrigerated, so it is the first all-natural, real, homemade cream cheese frosting on the market. So, very excited, and now, first time ever in my life, probably the only time, my timing may actually be correct because an article just came out from NPR about 2 weeks ago listing the top 22 foods that have the worst for trans fat, and Duncan Hines frosting was like number 4, so yay!
You've gotten it at Roberts and Lowe's.
So we started with Roberts and Tidal Creek and Carolina Farming because it was nice and easy, and they support local, and I could just kind of walk in, say I'm Kristen and Coastal Cupcakes, I put my frosting on the shelf, they're like, sure, it's over there, go for it. So nice and easy and great, and with the goal then of progressing to some of the larger chains, just because that's where I can get some real market hold. So went to Whole Foods and just cold called, walked in, and within 10 minutes I was still in the parking lot and got an email from them saying they loved the product and wanted to carry it and gave me their new vendor packet. So it should be on their shelves any day. They're really quick to be able to make a decision, but then the paperwork is a little bit longer than that for it to go through the chain of command. I just made my first delivery to Lowe's Foods last Thursday, and they sold out in 48 hours. So that was really exciting. So started to build, and that was my first store, and now I'll be progressing to 5 locally, and then into the Raleigh-Durham area.
Is frosting out selling cupcakes yet?
Not quite yet, but that is the goal. So my goal for this one is really to go national, and that's why I renamed it something else besides Coastal and Cupcakes to not pigeonhole it. And so I named it Topsy Tulip because everyone over the 5 years has given me cupcake stuff all the time. And there's tons of cupcake stuff out, and tulip's my favorite flower because I'm Dutch. So I figured if people are going to buy me stuff, I'm going to buy me stuff that I like. So, so I named it after tulips.
You're the only one up here who's got a product that actually can go bad, it can spoil, it has to be refrigerated, and you have to get health department approval to breathe. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that was quite a process that I had to learn. I have never been in the food industry prior to Coastal Cupcakes and never had any professional culinary training, so I've learned it all as I go. And just research, and I love to talk to people, and I'll talk to anybody that I need to. And someone can get me in touch with somebody else. That's what's great about Wilmington, because there's basically 2 degrees of separation, so I can always get to that person that I need to get to. And NC State has an awesome nutrition facts program and an agriculture department, and they did my nutrition facts. So you just send them their information, they send out the whole thing, it looks all legit and professional, and yeah, it's $100. Who knew? So they do all that for you, and then actually the agriculture department from North Carolina was extremely helpful in guiding me through the process of what all I needed and giving me approval and really walking me through everything, and then it was just straight selling. But it has been a lengthy process of figuring out, though. That's one of the issues of being in my industry because it's all perishable. So I have a short shelf life, and I need to get it on. I can't produce a large amount at one time, and then to get those economies of scale and let it sit, I need to produce on demand, which has its own set of issues.
So is this now a separate corporate entity from Coastal Cupcakes?
It's in the process. There's Adam, he's going to yell at me. It will be, yes. So it'll be its own spin-off.
Okay, we're going to come back to you. We're going to try to get everybody introduced. Next we have Jimmy Pierce at Kids Making It. Kids Making It has taken the idea of what shop class used to be in 1968 and turned it into an entrepreneurial activity for young people in their adolescence. And that didn't start here, that started in Louisiana, right?
I started in Louisiana just taking time away from our work as a volunteer to work with kids, and every time I did it was so meaningful. I ultimately decided I wanted to do it sort of forever. So anyway, did a pilot program at Gervais. We moved back to North Carolina in '96, and I pretty quickly did a pilot program at Gervais before they tore it down.
But part of what makes your program special is that you are actually teaching entrepreneurship as an essential component. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Started out just with kids in the housing authority neighborhoods with hand tools and go-karts and bookcases and things. But through our evaluations by the UNCW School of Social Work faculty over the years, they kept saying to make a difference in a kid's life, you have to spend more time with them. So we turned it into a long-term mentorship program for teenagers. And beginning at age 13, they can come into our downtown shops where we have all the power tools and production tools, make all kinds of things. We have a retail shop where they get to sell it. It's an entrepreneurship piece to it. Everything they sell, we track all of the sale. They get checks every month. They get 100% of the profits on all their sales. So it's a way for them to stay off the streets, out of trouble, earn some income, think of it as a job, and hopefully succeed in life. We're now serving those from like age 8 all the way through young adulthood. We're doing introductory working classes for the younger kids again. And having told the kids for several years that we're with you forever, we want you to come and stay, and we'll help you all we can to be successful in life. We were faced with that. Yeah, well, the young man who's one of our lead instructors started with me when he was 14, he's 27, and graduated from high school and out of public housing and doing all the right things. But his name is Paul. You'll see him if you come to our shop. But in any event, we started something for the older kids, the ones who were transitioning a couple of years ago, because we had a number of young guys, becoming men who had graduated from high school, stayed out of trouble, but just couldn't find a good job. The economy was so poor, they had a high school degree, but not a lot more before. So we started our own apprenticeship program where we offer them jobs. We give them, we bought a time clock just so they could learn a bunch of time clock. And so they're running quality control and working to a standard and all of that. And we're doing custom woodworking for the public. We are fortunate over the years to have acquired 3 production machines, 2 digital fabrication things, a laser engraver, and a CNC router. So we can do items in quantity and take on orders, things that our 13 and 14-year-olds can't really do. And we now have a hydraulic copy lathe that we do repetitive turnings. So we have an order for 2,000 little bud flower bases that are going to go to Germany as soon as we get them made. So we are, and that was a gift, I have to say, a shout out to the Encore Corporation. They gave us the lathe so that we could have a boost for our apprenticeship program and do this work for them. So that's our first big order. So I was sitting here thinking, we're probably the only people here that don't really reach beyond Wilmington, but we're trying to get there. But of course, that order can go overseas.
So how did that come about?
Several years ago, Renee Stiegelman, who owns ICA, walked into our shop, loved what we did, and asked to meet with me. And within a week, he had decided to set up an apprenticeship program at ICA for some of our program graduates, giving them full-time payment benefits, sending them to Cape Fear Community College for a degree. And so that's been going on for 5 years now. And he's been supportive over the years. And when I told him that we were inspired by his vision to start our own apprenticeship program, he said, well, I'll give you an order. I want 2,000 wooden flower bases. And we made some sitting in Germany. They weren't all exactly the same because they're all hand-turned. And he wants them all exactly the same. And when I said, we don't have a machine, within 15 seconds said, I'll buy the machine you need. So we did.
Wow.
So that's where we are with that. But so we are working on a line of products that we're thinking will be carried by gift shops up and down the coast and across the state, and perhaps beyond that. And it involves some laser engraved jewelry and other kinds of things that our kids can do in quantity, and we can take orders. And we've got someone out there for us, kind of grabbing our product and helping get it out there.
Well, speaking of jewelry, you were flanked by two
Yes,
stunningly
I thought that'd be a good segue.
Two stunningly talented women who are both jewelry designers. Let's start with Half United because it sort of segues in the nonprofit giving back world. Next to me is the amazingly beautiful and equally talented Carmen Black, who is one half of Half United. Does that make you 1/4 United?
That makes me 1/4 United.
Your brother is your business partner.
Yes, my brother.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and how that came about.
Yeah, so I run a cause-based accessories company called Half United, and what we do is we give half of our profits to feed children in need. And my brother is my business partner. We started business in 2009 with $200. And I had just returned from a 6-month stint with Tom's Shoes in Los Angeles.
Does everybody know what Tom's is and what they do? The buy one, give one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom's is a shoe company where for every pair you purchase, they give a matching pair of shoes to a child in need. And previous to that, I was a news reporter at WECT, and I did some work on Capitol Hill. But I got really fed up with news, and I thought, okay, I just want to do something different. So I went and worked for Tom's, and within 3 weeks of being there, I thought, oh my gosh, this is fashion and philanthropy, and they've combined it effortlessly, and I don't want to work for Tom's, I want to start the next Tom's. And so I came back home and partnered with my brother, and we virtually were broke. I mean, we were so broke. But we just wanted to make stuff and sell it, and then do our part to help children in need. And that sounds like, really admirable, but it was a lot of work. And I don't know, we weren't so nice to each other all along the way. We argue a lot, we disagree a lot, but yeah, for 4 years we've been doing this, and I think we've given away now like 85,000 meals to kids. Yeah.
How do you pick the nonprofits that you partner with and why?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a really strategic move. So growing up, my dad was in ministry, and what that meant was we just had a lot of friends and family, both in the United States and abroad, that did mission work. And so anything from running an orphanage to running a primary school, in all corners of the globe, I've grown up with these people. And, when we first started, we thought, okay, so we could go out with a bang, and we could partner with something like Heifer International or the UN World Food Program, and we could, have these, or like United Way or something, we could have these great names behind us, so that people would trust us and trust that, when we're giving money, it's doing what we say it'll do. But then we thought, you know what, we really don't want to be funding administrative costs. Like, we were just really afraid that because we were so broke and had so little to give, even with giving half of our profits, it was so little money at the time, that we thought, gosh, how can this make the biggest impact? So we started reaching out to friends and family who ran different organizations in Fiji, Cambodia, Liberia, and also here in Wilmington. And we thought, you know what, we're going to start small. We would rather feed 19 children in Fiji at a primary school than, pay 1/50th of a salary, at the UN World Food Program. So strategically, that's what we did. And so now we feed in Labasa, Fiji, Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and then here in Wilmington. And we were feeding in Liberia, but the organization we were working with won the Chase $1 million grant. So we're not funding them anymore. They're well taken care of. They don't need our money anymore. But so now it's allowed us to give more money in other places. So yeah.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
In the center of the stage, in the phenomenal hat. It is, it's gorgeous. We have the founder of Miriam O. Jewelry. Tell us about it.
I guess I started making jewelry when I first moved here. I transitioned from being a corporate person to being a stay-at-home mom. And I had 2 small children, an 8-month-old and a 3-year-old. So I moved to Wilmington, and I didn't know anybody, and I kind of just was trying to find my way. And when the kids would go to sleep at night, I had 2 hours to myself. And it was just me and Anderson Cooper. He and I would sit there, and he was in Prada, and I'd be like, yeah, this is great. But I needed a little something to bring me down from the day. And so I started ordering beads online, and I started making jewelry, and then people started to talk about it. And then people started to ask me to make them things, and it kind of grew from there.
So how did you get into the Belk Southern Designer Showcase?
I have a really good friend. I moved from New York City, and I have a girlfriend that works for Perry Ellis, and she's in licensing. And she said there's this really great contest. I think you should check it out. Belk is having a Southern Designer Showcase contest, and I think you should enter. I think it'd be perfect for you. And so I thought about it, and I have a really great friend who's a photographer, and so she took really great pictures of my work, and I put it all together, and I sent my packet in, and I went through a couple of hurdles, and then all of a sudden I won.
Wow. Congratulations. Are you in all Belk stores now?
They put us all in young contemporary stores, which across the South, they own over 300 stores. So I was in 42 Belk stores. So I was for me, I had a meeting with a buyer, and the numbers that they were putting out were at the time more than I could do because it's just me. And so I did a royalty deal with them, and so they actually did the production for me, and I did quality control and approval, and then it gave me seed money to continue my business.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations. How about designing? We have two men who are in design on the other side of the stage. And one,
have hats on.
I know, your hats are on. And we're going to start with Alan. Alan's work has done many things in his life, but probably the thing I will always love him the most for is that he founded my coffee shop, which is Folks Cafe on the corner of Princess and 12th, and I have started every day of my life for 10 years there, and I'm not the only one. It was a labor of love for he and his beautiful bride, Griselda, over there for, how long did you own?
9 years.
And then, since then, to keep himself busy, because if you've ever been an entrepreneur and then you find yourself not being an entrepreneur, like the first shock is, oh my God, I have free time? And I really don't know what to do with that. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm not up worrying about my tax paperwork. Alan has started designing the first anti-surveillance RFD blocking wallet.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
So I did have free time. What she didn't say is while I owned Folks Cafe for 9 years, I was doing bilingual social work in the daytime. So the coffee shop was just a hobby. So when I ultimately sold the coffee shop to Juan and Tammy Pacini, and they're doing a great job with it, for a neighborhood coffee shop, keeping it local. Coming back from Nicaragua at the Peace Corps, I said, I want something local. I want to keep it real close. We'll be able to walk to it, so I live right behind the coffee shop. I still don't own a coffee pot. So I had a lot of energy left over, and I wanted a thin wallet. I think probably about the same time I was no longer brewing coffee. My wife had given me a really thin wallet called the Owlet, and this gentleman has a newer version of the Owlet, but it's made out of a kite material. It's a ripstop kite material, super thin, yes, but flimsy. And I kept on mulling it over my head. How do you make a thin wallet that's super durable? And I started making them out of, if you see my box over there, I make them out of dog food bags and sugar bags and rice bags. And that's cute and recyclable, and I'll continue with that genre. But not everybody wants a piece of trash in their pocket as a wallet. And so I came up with this. It's a Kevlar material. It's a laminated sailcloth for high-tech sailboats. I think I met a gentleman this morning this evening that has a boat with a sailcloth made of the same material. So it's a real thin. I use a combination of origami and cutting and folding and sewing to make a super thin wallet. It's been doing well with it. I've shipped them all over the world through Etsy and eBay. Some of the versions come with an RFID blocking material, which you can can check with Mr. Whelan later. He'll tell you the possibility of somebody walking by and swiping your cards right out of your pocket without even touching you. So this version has a blocking material inside of it. But I'm excited. I have a Kickstarter going on right now. I have slips of paper that tell you how to get to the Kickstarter to support it. I've got 13 more days. It ends the day after Cyber Monday. I'm trying to raise monies basically to create a logo and point-of-sale materials. We've got the manufacturing down pat. Locally, I can do a certain number. If I sell a lot more, I have a manufacturer in Monroe that will make thousands of them for me.
How did you get hooked up with the manufacturer in Monroe?
Looking around using, I think it was Thomas Register, and just calling manufacturers and saying, you do this, and they say no or yes. There's very few sewing contractors in the country now, in North Carolina anyway, and if they do it, will they work with this material? So there's some manufacturers that work with only military type materials, etc. So this manufacturer, I sent them the materials, sent them pictures, sent them a prototype and some of the materials, and they sent me back their model, which works. So that's how I connected with them. Just calling around.
So the whole thing is going to be manufactured in North Carolina no matter how big you get.
Correct, yes. In fact, some places I called and said, well, we can send your materials down to Honduras, which I've been to Honduras, beautiful place, but I didn't want my product to be sewn down to Honduras and shipped back up here. So I was very particular about getting it sewn in North Carolina.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. To your right is the man who's been introduced to me as Dr. Arch.
Or you can call me anything.
Okay. And you have something called the dry case, which is changing the way people relate to water and electronic products.
Okay.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have two products. We have Dry Pro, which is our medical side, and we have Dry Case, which is our electronic side. And I've always been really confused as what I would be when I grew up, and I still am. I keep trying new things. I was actually a surgeon in Annapolis and had a really successful practice, but as a surgeon I had to always be there. I loved it, arts and crafts all day, and took a quick break and moved down to Wrightsville Beach and never went back. And I thought I was just the best Mr. Mom in the world. I had 3 kids and I would go to 3 lunches a day. And I'd play with their friends and do all kinds of stuff. We'd go fishing, we'd go surfing, we'd watch TV at night, I'd read them a book, and it was just awesome. And 7 years later, I got called into school. They had career day. And the teacher looked at me and she said, your son Ryan is my middle son. He's a great kid, but he just lacks a little direction. He doesn't really know what to do. And because we said for career day, what would you like to do? And he said, I'd ride my bike to school with everybody every morning. He goes, I'd like to ride my bike. She goes, well, that's not really a career. A career is something that you provide your family for. And again, I was a surgeon before that, so I had a little residual money. And so she goes, well, what else would you like to do? And he goes, surf. I'd like to surf. She goes, no, that's not a career. That it could be. You can be a professional surfer. But come up with something else, something maybe your dad does or neighbors do. And so he said, television. He goes, that's great. Would you like to be a director, an actor? He goes, no, I want to watch television. She looked at me square in the eye, and here I was, like the great dad that I spent all my time with the kids. She goes, he doesn't really know what you do. And I went, yeah, he does. I had this thing in my practice that I would do surgery and send people off, and they would get wet in the Chesapeake Bay, and it's not a good place to get wet. So I came up with a thing that goes over your arm or your leg, and we took a blood pressure pump and reversed the valve and stuck it on another valve, and it sucks all the air out, creating a vacuum seal. And there wasn't anything like it, and I was able to get a patent on that, and put it on the internet, and it just started growing. It was both the teacher and a mother actually on the same day. She was coming out on the mall, and I gave her one. She somehow tracked me down, and she said, we're going to get another one of these. And I went, well, where do you live? I'll just drive it. I'll drive one to you. And she goes, no, we're on vacation. And I gave one to her daughter coming out of the mall, and she goes, this is great. My daughter's in the ocean playing, and it's wonderful. Where can I get another one? And I went, well, when you come back, I'll give you what. She goes, no, you don't understand. My son, we were in an automobile accident, and both my son and my daughter broke their arm. And she's in the ocean playing, and he's on the beach miserable. And when he's miserable, and her whole voice changed, she goes, I'm miserable. And I said, well, they're not for sale anywhere. And she went, you're a doctor, right? I went, yeah. You like to help people? I went, yeah. She goes, you're not helping me by not sharing. So it was those two things, the teacher and the mother, that had me, it was 14 years ago, I designed a website, put this thing on the website. And our first order, in a weird way, came from Japan, and it's a whole other story. It kind of freaked me out, but we, according to our freight forwarder, put it in a box, and he shipped it out. And then it just continued to grow. And about 5 years ago, I was riding my bike to work, and I wrecked my phone. I couldn't get another one. I'm going to really try to truncate this. Couldn't get another one, and I finally did. I had to get a new 2-year contract, and that night, so my whole life is a series of accidental mistakes. Later that night, and beer was involved on this one. So friends came over. I got my new phone, my new 2-year contract. So I had two 2-year contracts on one phone, and I jumped in the hot tub. I wrecked my phone. And that night I went on the internet and I said, why doesn't somebody make something like we do for medical? So I took a like a plastic bag, a little better than that, and put a locking mechanism literally in a day, and took a blood pressure pump with the valve reversed. It's the same thing as what we already made. Sucked all the air out, created a vacuum seal, and we started dry case. And started marketing that, and so that's what we now make. We make two almost things. We're really creative too. We have Dry Corp, which makes Dry Pro and Dry Case. But we're in 56 countries with it now, and we're locally here in Wilmington off the Military Cutoff Road.
And is everything manufactured off Military Cutoff Road?
Well, yeah, it's all assembled there. We have stuff made in Sullivan, Indiana. We make all our own molds for the medical stuff. We ship them out. And they dip them. It's kind of a complicated process, so they dip them there. They do a better job than we could. We get our valves made in California. They're shipped, and everything's shipped in, and we assemble everything there. And our dry case, even though we tried so hard to get it made here in the United States, it is made in China, parts of it, but it's still all assembled here. And the goal has always been with this company was to provide gainful employment for those people that might have lost their job. And so that's always taken into consideration when we interview people. And we call it Club Dry Corp. And for 14 years we've had Cookout and Beer Friday. If anybody ever comes down Military Cutoff, you'll see us all playing basketball or volleyball or something. And we've been the top 100 companies to work for in the United States for 2 years in a row. And what a whole crazy culture. And the last thing is, if you want to enjoy your life, you've got to enjoy your work because you spend most of your life actually working. I'll end with that.
Well, I can give them. They were on QVC as well, which I think is a huge thing.
We were on QVC as well.
So what's involved in, what was your experience with QVC like, and how did it impact positively or negatively the business?
Oh, it was horrible. No, QVC. Because we show our things for the dry case, and when we go to trade shows, which are awesome, we love trade shows, and it's a big reason to celebrate. But we take a dry case, we take a phone, put a timer on it, we stick it in a fish tank, and we leave it there throughout the trade show. So you can see the timer going. And this thing, I've been diving 100 feet with it. It's certified to 100 feet. And all it is, it's got a vacuum pump on it. But the QVC, I got there. And I actually went there with my daughter. I thought it'd be a great experience. They have a power room and all that stuff before you go on air. And I brought the car up front. We actually drove that. I've been flying all over the place. I just did not want to fly. So we drove up to Pennsylvania, parked out front, and I said, okay, I got a fish tank here and some other things, for display. Where should we put it? And she goes, well, I'll show you where you're going to be. Go ahead and carry it in. We had to carry all our own stuff in. And then it was all like the host didn't know us as Bergman. We did well. We sold out of our dry case and stuff, but we did well. But it's not what you think television is going to be. Or like movies where they plan forever for a shot. They just say, hurry up, we're going to be on the air. So we went on. And it was good. It didn't, a lot of things boosted our sales. That did not do it like I thought it was going to.
So you haven't done it again?
We have not. We have not. we're looking at something similar. That was KBCH, our home shopping network, and they're looking at us, and we'll do that too. I think it's a huge possibility. They also didn't buy too much of the dry case, our big product. They went with the tablet cases. We were supposed to be on the air one week, and we went on the next week, and they didn't have any tablets or anything, so it was kind of a foreign thing. So.
Probably the two major components for trying to scale up any business are capital and the necessity of it or lack thereof, and then spending that on jobs and humans and in manufacturing. Those are two really key.
No capital, zero capital, and that's always our advertising budget when we opened was $20 to pay for our website. It was done intentionally, and pretty much it's still done, except for trade shows. We do not advertise. And I think a solid product and really good staff behind you will allow product to go. There was a lot of creativity.
Could we just really quickly have everybody sort of speak to how you've gone about raising capital and what you would like to do with it and what an influx of employees could or couldn't do? Let's start with you.
Oh my gosh, you're so nice. You're trying to get me into your bookstore more often. No, okay, so, well, we to date have not had any formal, like, cap raise or anything. For us, it's like you hustle and then you hustle harder. And so for me, it's just all about networking. And so, like, recently, you know, we just partnered with Tom's Shoes, who I used to work for. And so, like, Tom started this new online marketplace where they sell 30 other brands that also give back. And so Half United was lucky enough to be one of the 30 brands, and because of the order size that they place, really that for us has been seed money. And just like he said, you know, to date, I mean, with the exception of maybe a $30 Facebook ad for like a Facebook contest or something, we don't do any formal advertising. It's just all word of mouth, but a lot of social media. That for our target consumer, that's where they read about us, hear about us, and that sort of thing. And then in terms of, you know, new employees or how employees like help our business, I mean, we have some of the, honestly, some of the smartest, most hardworking employees. We have a couple of them here tonight. But there are 4 full-time, 2 part-time, and 2 interns. Yeah. And so, I mean, honest to God, I mean, none of us have a lot of formal, like, training in this field, but, you know, it's just about being really adaptable and being willing to work hard and just be a team player, you know, and honest to God, employees and good employees or lack thereof really will make or break your business, absolutely, so, yeah.
So, Jimmy, as a nonprofit, you have a slightly different ability to raise capital than everybody else out here.
Well, we're in the ability. I mean, you know, if you're a nonprofit, it's a business like any other. You have to hopefully make more. As Rick Lawson at the Children's Museum says, if you don't make $1 more every year of what you spend, you're in trouble. But it's tough because, you know, you don't really have a product, and so it's all grants and donations and all that. And we are. That's why we're so excited about the apprenticeship program, because it is a way to give our young people jobs and help them transition into a lifetime of success, but also is potentially a way for us to generate some capital ourselves, some revenue. So we've, you know, we're getting ready to buy another lasering grant for the apprenticeship program. Just for them, it's a $25,000 investment. You know, but I would have to say the United Way gave us a $15,000 grant to help out that laser. So we need $10,000 more. So I was talking to somebody today about, you know, we will put your name up in our shop over that laser. It'll be all over Facebook. It'll be forever there as a joint venture between your organization. So that's kind of how you sort of have to do it.
How many people does Kids Making It currently employ?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We have mostly part-time people. There are 3 full-time people, myself, our social worker, our full-time social worker, Bonnie Gaynor, and James Hollis, who's over here at the table, is our apprenticeship supervisor and also, along with Bob, one of our lead instructors. And then we have my assistant director's here, who's, not quite full-time, and administrative assistant. So we have, I think, about 7 people all in all, 3 full-time and the rest are part-time. And then we have the apprentices, and so we have sort of a stable of probably 8 or so apprentices that we call upon. And right now, most of the work is being done by 3 or 4 total. But once we crank up and get that vase project going and start cranking up this 2,000 vases, and then get this jewelry line hopping, we will have enough to keep more people employed and be running full-time. Yeah. I once had a man come from, people from all over the world come out shop, and a fellow from Berkeley one day about 5 years ago, I said, well, this makes a great place. He said, do you sell franchises? I said, yeah, you can't make any money at this. I'll help you do it. But no, he says, another one, and I said, he's the only one in the world, and this is perfect. I'll hook it up. So, anyway, so maybe with the apprenticeship thing, we'll find a generate some revenue.
So, and this started with you and Anderson Cooper.
Yes, so it's just me and Anderson still. I'm pretty much, I'm my only employee for right now. I think this summer I did get someone to come in and help me. I had a young man come and help me with social media. So he gave me this huge boost in social media and really helped me. But a lot of mine has been, what is it? Scarlett O'Hara says something about I've always gotten by on the kindness of strangers. I think that my friends, I surround myself with really powerful women. And I have someone in this room that does my photography for me. I have someone in this room that I talk to about my business plan. I have somebody in this room that does my graphics for me. So there have been people that have come together for me to really help me out in the hopes that I get big enough to where I'm going to start showering you people with money.
Sort of the relationship with Phelps almost kind of replaces the experience of growing a business in-house. I mean, they are providing the actual physical making of your jewelry, right. So you're sort of managing through them. And was there any sort of capital that you got from winning the contest?
There was that, and then I got, because I sold them designs, so I sold them like 19 designs, so that I got a royalty on those 19 designs. But it didn't really cost me anything to do that venture, which is highly unusual and completely unusual for someone in my position to even be in the same room as a buyer. So that was my first buyers meeting, and they held our hands and were really, Goliath was very kind to David, kind of. It wasn't what I envisioned it was going to be like. And because of that, I don't think that the story ends there. I think that was my great beginning and a great boom for me. Is what I do after this is people are going to look back and say, and that was her start, and now look where she is now. Mm-hmm. So I think that everything I do after this is going to define who I am and where my company's going. So.
And are you supporting yourself?
I do not. I'm going to start taking payouts as part of my business plan to start taking payouts in January. And there's small payouts for the first 6 months. And then I'm going to see how to round out the rest of the year. But the first part of the year, I'm going to take small payouts, and that will be things that kind of help out my family. So this will be like the first time that I'm doing that.
Well, best of luck. Thank you. So is the cupcake business funding the frosting business? Is that
it is. It is. Taking no money, and it is currently, I am head production and manufacturing and packaging and marketing. So I read a lot, and I don't have a lot of time to read, so I do books on tape in the library all the time. And read a lot about different entrepreneurs, and Sarah Blakely is kind of one of my new heroes, the founder of Spanx, the first self-made billionaire female, which is freaking awesome. And she's got an amazing story, so it sparked some ideas in me. So currently, one of the biggest things with grocery stores, if learning that industry, is shelf space is really hard to come by, and places like Nabisco and Keebler and Betty Crocker and all this, they pay for shelf space. So they actually pay the grocery store chains for that shelf space to put those on there, so I can't obviously compete with what they are paying to get that shelf space. So I have to be creative in where I put mine. and I can't afford that. But the biggest thing then, if I do actually win the shelf space, which I have with Lowe's, I need it to move. And if it doesn't move, I get pulled and I can't get back in. So my marketing is I actually, I give friends money and they go and buy it. And then Whole Foods has been really dragging their feet with the paperwork, so I strategically have friends go in every 5 days and say a different story requesting the product at different stores of saying that they had bought it somewhere else and they really wanted it and it was an all-natural, local product and they really thought they would have it, and why don't they have it? And so they've now started to say, we've had a bunch of people asking for that, do you want to put in a request or work on it? My friend's like, yes, I would, and so I keep doing that. So the process is sped up a little bit now by doing things like that. So that's what I do, because I can't afford to buy ads or do TV or something like that. That's such a huge investment, and for me, I really just need the product to move and really word of mouth, so with that.
We already talked about Calico with you starting with $20. Do you want to catch?
Oh yeah, 20 a month for website. And that was on purpose because it's so easy to advertise. We chose not to see how it could grow. But I completely agree. We did the exact same thing. we would just call places and we'd have friends call places. And, well, initially it was medical stuff. So I call them as Dr. Arch. And then, how do they know that I'm a doctor? So I had like everybody calling me as Doctor, whatever their last name. Finally, after perseverance, they would finally take the thing. We never heard of that before. In fact, the first place said, we don't want to carry it because nobody's asking for it. I said, nobody's asking for it because you don't carry it. You got to break the cycle. And I've never been a bartender, but I've been, in front of a lot of bartenders. And you're supposed to put seed money in the till. If you put a 5, people tend to use 5s. If it's empty, it's empty. So you kind of have to seed the till a little bit. So I completely agree. We've not taken any money, and a year and a half ago we won. It was ridiculous what we won. I don't even understand it. Entrepreneur of the Year for North Carolina. And one of the questions, the question I didn't even know was so unprepared coming in was, if we gave you $100,000, how would you run your company different? And I've seen so many companies go out of business because they've taken money and they've taken too much, they've tried to grow too fast, and so mine is grow organically and kind of, you have a place that might be a certain size, and then you don't go out and get a bigger one because they will come. Instead, you have to wait until you have a second shift and a third shift, and it finally pushes you out. That's pretty much how we run our company. Make sure you make a profit. Here's my whole business philosophy. Make sure you make a profit and sell as many as you can. And we just take and reinvest it and grow and grow and grow. And so that was it. Oh, so when I was in the interview for the entrepreneur, and we did won the top title on that one. They said finally, because they were getting really annoyed that I wasn't answering the questions, what would you do with a $100,000 investment? And I looked at them square in the eye and I said, oh, we wouldn't want that because then we'd have to pay it back. So they decided we were the winner.
Well, Alan, I'm particularly interested to hear what you have to say about raising capital since you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, and that's become a frequently used method for raising capital by small businesses. Could you talk a little bit about why you chose that and what exactly you're planning to do with it?
Well, I think the idea is that people can see them, people say, hey, where'd you get the wallet? And that's a limited, people kind of dig the wallet. I hand it to a soccer player, hey, that's a cool soccer wallet. Hey, that's a cool skateboard wallet. And so I thought the idea would be to create, with Kickstarter monies, to create, like I said, a logo. It's kind of cool looking, and point of sale materials, because I don't have that available. It's really just a wallet. I have a card I printed. The card says, where'd you get the wallet? Because so many people, I sell it to them, they say, yeah, I pulled it out. And in 2 days, 5 people said, where'd you get that wallet? So apparently it's a very slick looking wallet when you pull it out. It's unusual. So I thought point of sale materials would help.
Why did you pick Kickstarter, and what is your experience with it?
One of my silly employees in the past, was that training, came along and showed me the way, and so I said, if he can do it, certainly I can do it. He's got a team of very creative folks around him. I said, well, I'll go with a much more modest goal, enough to get some things rolling. So,
And for those of you who don't know, Zach is the founder and mastermind behind Freaker, the bottle freakers, that started from sweater sleeves at the mission on Castle. He used to work at Cooks.
yeah, so I said, well, okay, so that seems like a good idea. And so I did support his campaign, and I followed through, and I saw what was going on, and I said, wow, people are really raising a lot of money with good ideas here. And so that, like myriad, I was surrounded by a lot of folks, and so I had a guy with a camera, and he was very good at filming me, so I'll try that.
So part of the hope with supporting local business from a consumer standpoint, the hope that you're employing somebody here, and that you're not just employing the person you're buying something from, but that you're employing an entire chain of people that have come to make this point of sale happen. It was very interesting to hear, maybe let's start with food this time again, how that chain happens, and if I choose to spend $1 on your frosting, where that dollar goes and how it gets reinvested in this.
Sure. Well, currently I have 2 Coastal Cupcakes locations, and I think I am up to maybe 12 employees. The majority are all UNCW students. So then they also help with Topsy, so I guess it's all the same. That food all comes in, I rent 2 locations, I have my 12 employees that I support, 2, including myself, as 3 full-time people. And then truly of going out there then, and all the production is done locally as far as my labels are done by a local production company, and my logo was developed locally, the website, and then my goal then is to have a production facility, and whether that's done here or centrally in the country, so that's a one-way ship to any coast and in the United States, that will be decided. But it was a lot of people. I get all my food from Cisco, all my raw materials, so my Cisco rep was my track mate in high school, and so I mean, it's a big chain. It's a lot that goes through to get that one product made, and a lot of cost adds up along the way as well. But then the local grocery stores too. I mean, you know, they are chains, but they support a lot of local people, and they support a lot of local products. And they're very welcoming to those local products, which is huge. My guy at Lowe's, the one grocery store, he was so excited because for him it was a feather in his cap of getting local in there. And you just need to get in that one spot, and now I can technically be in all 103 Lowe's foods now that I'm in the system.
Is that going to happen?
So that's what I'm going to work on locally, Wilmington and Raleigh. You know, I'm producing in the corner of 2nd Princess right now after I close the shop. So don't quite have the distribution method and production facility to be able to get to all 103 of those. And I only have 1 shot to get that shelf space, so I have to make sure it's done correctly. So I want to grow properly as well. And I'm more like Arch, I don't like to take money. I want to be able to get what I can from myself and produce it, because we bring more people in with ideas and voices, and when they give you money, you have to take those, and I don't like, that's why I'm an entrepreneur in my own box. I don't like taking advice from other people and doing what they say. I want to do whatever I want to do, so.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, so the chain. Well, I mean, it sort of starts with our apprentices and James sort of making the pitch to the customers. And then when the job comes in, of course, it employs them, so it gives them an immediate paycheck for all the work they do. And any profits from that generate base job then go to support our nonprofit program, where we serve like 300 plus kids a year.
300 kids a year?
Yeah, 300 kids a year. Kids a year. And then, but we're happy because the results of that is, we have a 0% dropout rate among our kids, even though half of them are 9th graders going to the graduate class. When they come to us, they stay in school and graduate. We have a less than 2% getting in trouble rate. despite their juvenile, and all of our kids come from very poor families and high crime neighborhoods. So it's sort of is a double investment.
And a quick commercial, Kids Making It has made a number of products for the bookstore over the years, and we've been thrilled with all of them. Best money ever spent.
And we have, I will just say, for the occasional wedding gift or holiday gifts, we have a gift shop that helps our teenagers put money in their pockets.
So, talk to us a little bit about jewelry. Maybe you two can intersperse this together. Jewelry is a slightly different thing than making a cupcake that gets eaten. I mean, there's some pieces that come together. Tell me a little bit about how this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for us, yours is a lot more intricate than ours. Well, yeah, so what's cool about Half United is that, you know, all of our stuff, it sounds like much of, or if not all of the products actually up here, all of our stuff is sourced in the United States and handmade in the United States. So in our office on North 4th Street, you can see us back there sanding and drilling and, you know, all of the painting that's done on a lot of our products is done just right over the bridge in Leland. And then we have a more intricate, kind of more high-end sort of couture line that's coming out in the spring. And all of that is handmade in Rhode Island. And so everything...
How did Rhode Island get there?
Well, okay, so it's really crazy. Second to China, apparently for costume jewelry manufacturing is Rhode Island. Literally. Like, who knew that, right? And so, you know, yes, so if you need some, and I say costume jewelry just meaning anything that uses base metal. So we're not using like diamonds or real emeralds or anything like that, but it's still really beautiful jewelry. And so, yeah, so I flew up to Rhode Island and met with this really tiny mom and pop sort of jewelry manufacturing company, and sat there for a couple of days and hand designed everything and then handed it off to a welder, and he welded it right in front of me and then gave it to me. I tried it on, I said it's too long or too short or whatever, and then we fixed it, and it's all going to be handmade in the United States.
So how many people would you estimate are economically impacted by this?
Oh gosh, well, of our employees, so that's like 8 of us, and then, you know, I mean, we've got the painter right up the road. We've got all of the companies that we buy, every single product that I'm wearing right now, which is only a few components in this piece, but everything was made in the United States, you know, so in Washington State, and then in Virginia and Rhode Island, and, you know, and I sat there. It's funny that you would ask me this, because as I was sitting in that manufacturing company, you know, they are not doing well right now. They make a type of jewelry that it's just, right now, it's sort of like up and coming with a lot of crystals and that sort of stuff. And to see these men who at one time back in the 80s, their business was really booming, and now it's like, you know, really not doing very well. I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, if we get another really big order from Nordstrom, or if we get another big order from Tom's, we can effectively like revive their business. And I was like, oh, I hope that we can help them in that way. Because just seeing how hard they were working for us, and literally it's this huge manufacturing plant. It's myself and the guy that does our operations, his name is Caleb. We were the only line they were working on for like 2 or 3 days. So I mean, I had like, you know, a welder that was just working on my line, and I had the luxury of tweaking things in front of him and changing colors and doing all this stuff. But I felt really guilty, because I'm like, gosh, you know, there should be 30 other lines behind me on a production schedule that he doesn't have time to sit here and do this for me for days. And so I thought, wow, this is so awesome, because, you know, when these big orders are placed from companies like ours, we really do keep, you know, that economic impact is felt definitely in the United States, and we help employ our fellow citizens. So
then what is necessary to make North Carolina a manufacturing center? 30 years ago, we really were a manufacturing center for furniture and for clothing, and that's changed. What's necessary to bring that back?
I think, and you guys could probably speak to this or against it or whatever, but I mean, to me, it's just, you know, it's a lot harder. The commitment from the companies has to be top down. And so it's probably, with the stuff we're making in Rhode Island, 2, if not 3 times more expensive than having it made in China. You know, and we know that. And so as a result, we have to charge more for it. But, you know, we really want to keep that commitment. You know, we feel like we do something that's really holistic, and we want that same vein to run through the rest of our company. So, you know, it's got to be the commitment from the top down is what I
And
think.
if your end user is someone that's shopping at Nordstrom, she may care very much that it is all made in the United States.
Yeah.
And she's making that choice and she's willing to pay more money for
sure,
that choice.
sure. And it's a good marketing ploy, too. I mean, we totally exploit the fact that it's all made in the United States
As you should.
because it makes you stand out against a lot of your competitors. So we use that to our advantage.
We have reached our threshold of beyond 7:30.
Oh,
Because it's been a fantastic discussion, we've missed that. This is a discussion that I feel like could go on all night. I want to first thank the panelists for coming out tonight. Thank you all for being here tonight. Also need to say thank you to Dorian Hill for being here, Trip Murphy in the Calico room for hosting. What I'd like to do is invite you all to mix and mingle with our panelists, have a discussion, hang around, buy another beer. We really appreciate that. And thank you to everybody very much for being here. Thank you.
Several of our panelists have displays of their materials.
Yes.
I hope everybody will get around and take a look at what's being displayed.
Did everybody hear that? So the panelists have displays around. Please check out the works. Thank you all very much.